This is the Victorinox Fibrox chef's knife. It is largely considered one of the best performing knives for its value, and because of that, it is consistently recommended as the top choice for a beginner looking to get their first good knife. Now, we are curious if there are knives that can be competitive with the Victorinox Fibrox, and so today I have the Mercer Culinary Millenia. Now, our curiosity here is, can this knife, which is at approximately the same price point as the Fibrox, compete with it? So let's check that out. All right, so we've got this knife out of the package. So we can see this is fresh out of the box. We're first going to check how does the edge look like. Here I've got our local grocery ad, falafel right here. Let's just see how this thing cuts. Straight out of the box. Yeah, it does pretty well. You can see that's cutting quite evenly. Hold it up to the camera. All right, so it's struggling there. Let's try it on this side here. Yeah, it's doing okay. Some snags, it's not pulling perfectly through in some places. So yeah, about the midpoint right here, bit of a rough edge. And let me just show this in comparison with the Fibrox. I don't remember when I sharpened this last, so it's a good knife feel. Yeah, it looks like this one is in pretty good shape. A little bit of struggle, again, right near the belly leading into the tip. Okay, so we have got a good edge on both of these knives, and we are going to put them through 3 basic tests. Number 1, we have the apple. This is our wedge test. We want to see if the product cracks as we're cutting it through it with a knife. Second up is we have a potato. Potato, we are looking for steering and we're looking for cohesion as we cut this. I'm going to be making this into diced potato, so cubes that are about 1 centimeter cubed. And then finally, we've got onion halves. I'm going to dice this onion and we're going to see how it does. This is the classic test. This will test for stiction. This will test for overall geometry, etc. So despite the fact I do have a Fibrox and a Mercer, the Mercer is really the only one that is being reviewed here because the Fibrox is not consistent with its out-of-the-box performance. I've heavily modified this Fibrox. I've thinned it behind the edge considerably and used it for a long time, hoping to do the same with the Mercer. So let's get started. We're gonna see what the Mercer can do. First off on the wedge test. So we got this apple. Let's just push through, and what we're hoping for is a soft slide followed by a gentle tap on the board. All right, and it does okay. A little bit of sticking as we're going through. This isn't a particularly dense apple, and so we're not gonna hear very much. Just to compare that to the Fibrox. Similar performance going on here. Okay, so that is how it performs on the apple. Not a ton that we see revealed in that test. It's not an amazing performer, it's not perfect, but it does just fine. Next up, potato. All right, so as I cut, look and see if the knife goes straight down or if it steers, and I'll point the tip toward the camera to make this a little easier. So we go down, cut through, down, cut through, and once more. All right, so quite a bit of static friction on the side here. As water content in the potato leaves the product, it'll stick to the side of the knife, and because this is mostly flat ground, it is sucking right on. We have water tension that's causing the potato to move all over. So we cut this way, and I am struggling to pull this back without a lot of weight from my finger on top to keep that potato from coming apart. Try the last one. Ooh, wish me luck. There we go. Okay, this lap bit should be a bit easier. I'm actually pleasantly surprised this potato stayed together. It's not gonna stay together in this last bit. It's pulling way too much of the product with it. But that's how it does. Okay, so steering, it didn't look too bad. Check it later on camera, but in hand, it felt just fine. You have to be the judge from what you see on camera. So orient this toward the camera. And you see this one is sliding right off of the knife. Barely any weight from my finger in order to keep this sticking together. So I'm able to go quite a bit faster. I'm knocking it around with my hand. That's bad form, bad technique on my part. So excuse that, but it stays together right up until the very end. Again, smaller potato, and this is a heavily modified knife. So that's our baseline of what we're basically looking for in a good knife. Last up, potato dice. Mercer. Verticals straight down, doing pretty good. It's getting through as long as I'm using the right technique and drawing back. I'm not really struggling until right there. There we see a wedge. So it is wedging on the verticals for the onion. Let's see how we do on horizontals. And we're not moving past there. So maybe an inch, 2 inches in. Wiggle it around. I might get further, but I could also hurt myself, so I'm not going to. And the onion is basically dividing and pulling apart from this point. So let's switch over to the finals. And we do that last dice. So overall, pretty good effect that we see off of this one. Another onion dice, this time with the Fibrox. As we go down, much less resistance. And again, I'm using technique that pulls the knife back as I draw through. So it's starting with the tip and using the full length to try and get these verticals in. See how we do on horizontals. Pretty good. Not getting all the way through, and then we're starting to pull there again as well. So not perfect, not highly optimized in those horizontal cuts there, but this is just staying pretty well together. So we have a $35 knife against a $25 knife. Very similar price points, very similar constructions, and I have to say, very similar performance between the two. That's all for today.